Or sing? Okay, go for it.
כי כל בורא בורא יש לו ניגון מיוחד, לפי העשבים ומקום
המראה.
המראה.
Right.
כל בהמה ובהמה יש לה עשב מיוחד שיכול לאכול, ולפי זה הניגון. כל עשב ועשב אומר חלק שירה, ומשירת העשבים נעשה ניגון הרועה.
Okay, you can see I translated this down below, but right. So that every shepherd, you know, and I think he's thinking about shepherds and their doodlet, right? A doodlet, the usakas, but they're also the bagpipes, it's also called a doodlet, right? That they play, yeah. Oh, okay. And so that why? Because of this intimate relationship to the grass, right? Knowing it so well, and it looks, you can see here like at least the web of interaction via food chain, as it were, right? And so so what I want to say, what is the nigun that we are playing, singing, based on our relationship to our gardens, to the farmers we may know or may not know if you go to a farmer's market, to a not knowing, right? What happens if we can't hear the music? Is this merely metaphor? Is this, you know, we who, the people in the room who see angels, hey, no problem, you know? But so how do we work with this? And what happens if there is mutilated music, to use the image of Nellie Zox, right, in the Chimneys? What happens when that's what we're taking in? What does that mean? Yes, I'll take a couple minutes.
This reminds me of the notion of the song lines within the Australian
Yes,
mythology.
yes, beautiful, beautiful.
System. And that if you disrupt the land, you lose the song. And if you lose the song, you're losing your soul.
Right. Beautiful. And
I imagine that our essence is a resonating chamber. And the sound of the earth, the sound of our garden, the sound of the grasses
absolutely
echoes within our resonating chamber.
That's right.
And if either of those is disrupted, if the grasses are disrupted, then the waves that are coming in to be resonated are askew.
That's
and
right.
by the same token, if our resonating chamber has been dampened in one way or another, it cannot play the song of the grasses.
That's right. And when you talk about the resonating chamber, it's really beautiful, because Nachman talks, Alea Sor Vale Navel, and he talks about the way that we are like the 10-stringed lute, right? Because the 10 sphirot, the 10 pulses. And as the spirit moves through, the north wind, at midnight, he does the whole thing with from the Zohar and from King David, you know, getting up to write Psalms. You know, if there's something awry in our resonating chamber, and you know, that needs healing as well. So it's all a matter of aligning. But what's really interesting is it's aligning with these presences in the world that are part of the human realm, but also part of the more than human realm. And and the other thing that strikes me is this is teaching about terroir. Okay, and not only in the sense of a holy terroir, or a holy terroir. Okay, right.
Someone needs an explanation of terroir.
Okay, so the notion that each microplot, right, has a unique quality of soil, has unique nutrients, a unique kind of mini atmosphere and weather, climate, et cetera, and in wine, and by extension in coffee, right? They speak of terroir, right? And so this is a kind of a spiritual terroir, and so it leads me to believe, or to at least play with the notion: what is what does it mean to eat kind of, to be locavorious? You understand? And what does it mean to hear that music and to know who the shepherds, so to speak, are, and what the grasses are, and what the animals are, what the ecosystem is, right? And so, is there a way to work with this?
Zalman used to go even further and just talk
Well,
about
sure.
the ground itself
That's right.
having a song.
Yes.
Right, that it
Yes.
came out of the earth itself.
That's right. That's right. And I think a couple.
I'm reminded of in Navajo spirituality, which recognizes that each grass has a unique
That's right.
isness of its own.
Right.
That if one has to remove a weed, one addresses it, sings to it, blesses it, asks its permission
Right.
before pulling it. And that makes an intimate spiritual connection between its isness and the person who's pulling the weed. It takes a long time to weed a garden.
That's right.
Yeah,
And if you
right.
do that, how does that alter the relationship to the earth? And I saw Jan.
Well, it reminds me of what happens when we eat polluted food on a nutrient level. If we're not eating food that is what we might consider pure, unpolluted, it starts getting down to our microsystem, and we're all seeing that that's not good for our bodies, much less the planet to be shipping polluted food around. And so it's really, it's almost like a micronutrient analysis as well.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And I'll try to get people who haven't spoken yet. So for.
It's just when you said ecosystem, I heard it with an H.
Yeah, of course. Pun intended, but yes, with the reverberating chamber. Yes. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Well, I was wondering if we could go back to the very beginning. I was thinking, does Nikudat HaTorah equal Nikudat HaPnimit?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's like that Shechina spark, or that soul spark that's in you, and the inner spark. Yeah, Chalak Alo Mimal, those Pintal Yid, those Pintal Yud, all those things I think are related. We'll just go on a little bit here. And so it's after we're here to be Levites, and this is from Sichot Mohoran. I'll give you the whole text before. I'm going to just actually go to we're still on page 11, but I'm going to like zoom to, let's see, what page was it on? 18. Well, it's on 18 at the bottom. I'm just going to go to that. We're sometimes, Nachman has an understanding here that the human being has a unique role in weaving together the songs, right? And so I guess it's a kind of partnership with the land, Hannah Tiferet, but there is a kind of directed role that Nachman is speaking about, surely. And it's like at the bottom of the page there. That every, on the page of 18, bottom of 18, did I say September 18? Okay, so, if you merited to hear the voice of the songs, and the songs of praise of the grasses, how each grass says a song to the divine without any kind of special pleading, and with any wayward thoughts, and not expecting any kind of reward, right? How lovely and wonderful it is to hear their song, and how good it is to serve God in awe and trembling among them. To say in Yiddish, schon Ashkenaz, es ist sehr gut zu sein zwischen sie, to be religious, to be a servant of the divine, among the grasses, among those who know it so well. I want to just kind of end by citing another source. I don't have time to go through it in detail. But if this first set of texts is inviting us to open our ears, our hearts to the web of life, and to really enter into places that are unknown as well as places that are known. I would also say, what are our tools? What is our clee that's made of colors and of leaves, right? Is it something to do with light? Is it something to do with living things, right? And seeing how, when there is some blight in the plant world and how it affects everything. Does it have to do with the rays of the sun? Does it does it have to do with the way in which we move and celebrate and despoil the planet, right? What are those tools? And I believe that some of those tools come from the world of science. I believe that some of those tools come from indigenous cultures. I believe that they come from our work as musicians and comedians and people who are trying to live their life as though it were a work of art, and with humility, and with a kind of a daring at the same time. And so I started to put that text together, the one that we just read, with something from the Netivot Shalom. And I have to say, I love the Netivot Shalom, as you all know. And, the Netivot Shalom, when it comes to Teva, is not as glorious as Nachman. Okay? Simply, it's a lower rung. Okay? And that's more typical. It's a lower rung. I mean, yes, it is a vessel for the divine, but it's a really lowly one, right? Whereas Nachman really has this sense here of not only lifting everything back to the divine, but also realizing the divinity that's within. And he's unusual in that way. And there is a notion that's in some of the Kabbalists, some of the Hasidic masters, and that Aaron Zeitlin, Hillel Zeitlin, really picks up, that when he talks about going into the fields and praying, and he says, and he has this, it's all romantic in a wonderful way, right? The fields are, this big tree is like the Shliach Tzibor, and he talks about, just being one of the minyan of the trees. In our minyan, we count trees. We count pea plants. We count, we count lacinato kale. Oh, that's not going too far. There's a debate over this. Curly kale, yes. Okay. Kale I don't, right? So anyhow, where was I? Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I was doing something else. Okay, no matter. So anyhow, for Nachman, there really is a sense like the Piazetzner that when we walk on sand, we're walking inside God and on God and all of that. And and so what are, to use Gandhi's image, if you always wear leather, the world becomes a leather-covered place. So what do we? What is the asua now, right? And what is the kind of turning that we need to do? What is the removing of shalnalecha me'orachlecha, to remove our habitual ways of seeing and hearing and taking in the world, and doing a kind of reframing, right? When we're in the forest and we hear all those sounds that freak us out, right? Of the other. And so anyhow, the passage from the Slonimer is on an earlier page, and I might just look at the.
It's 5.
Yeah, it's 5. But I'm just going to look at the English because of time. Okay. It's on page 7. Okay. And so I just want to do this here, because when this second text, to me suggests the need, it's something that I wonder about, and I barely live my life as though I wonder about it. That is to say, when I think of some measure of equitably distributed resources, am I really just a locavore? You understand? Because if I were to think about the planet, I live like so high on the hog, right? Or is it the local community? I mean, where are you a citizen? Where do you live? How do you? This is like a huge question, and there's no simple answer for me, at least. For some, maybe for Mother Teresa, there was, and I applaud that. But it's really the question of what we let go, and the notion of letting go and giving up as part of the task, but also the holding and the harboring. And the holding and the harboring and then the letting go. Anyone who's a parent knows this. Anyone who's a mentor knows this. Anyone who's had a dream knows this, right? And so here goes. It's about mitzvah tikun. And so it is written concerning all kinds of reshit, that you shall give them over to Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, right? The Gez said that the fleece of the lamb, the first dough. In the example par excellence, the first fruits of the land, which you shall bring to the house of Avaya. And I love what he says. For after a full year of sweat and toil, you merit to see the fruit of your labor. It has become the dearest of things in your eyes. But no sooner do you arrive at this moment of crowning joy than you bring it close to God and give it as an offering. Why the great value of this offering, right? And before he's talking about what it means, like you're sweating over it, you're watering it, you're taking care over it, and what you do is you give it away. You understand? And what is the great value of this offering? So dear to God that it's said to provide the motive for creation, right? It is that when you give away something which is so dear to you, you are really offering a part of your heart to God in the process. And it is that ability to give up, to let go of what you have raised or launched, that is the very goal of creation. This can be understood by way of parable about a little child who out of great love gives her toys to her father. Even though the toy has no special monetary value, the father knows how deeply it is valued by his daughter. That is like the whole world in her eyes, for the child has offered her very heart and soul with it. So it is with the fruits we offer up before the Holy One of Blessing, Rahmana Libabai, the compassionate one wants the heart. Indeed, in the act of gift giving, we fulfill God's desire that we create a dwelling place for the Holy One right here on earth. Liot lo dira b'tachtonim. The way I work with this is to say, in some ways, what is the kind of giving that we can do that replenishes that interface of the divine, which is the planet, and also beyond. I'm there too. But what is it that we do? And how do we understand the role of nurture and the role of letting go, of holding and letting go here, right? And what's really important is, sometimes it's really easy to do. There's something we love so much we know we want to give it away. But sometimes in my life I know, I collect things too. And sometimes you get to a place in life or you clean out a parent's home and you ask, for whom, to what, how can we recycle it, right? The way in which the Baal Shem Tov teaches it based on a passage in the Zohar, of course, is that you got to keep Yod-Heh Vav-Heh flowing through the world, right? So Yod-Heh Vav-Heh is the Yud is the seed of possibility, it's the seed money. The Hey is the hand, the 5 fingers that takes the money. The Vav is the outstretched connector, right? That puts it in another hand, right? And that hand, will take what that hand needs, and it has to go on. Otherwise, there's an embolism of the divine. It clogs and it clots, right? It clogs and it clots. And so how do we take what we need? And I also want to say that sometimes the offering of those gifts here to another can make the difference between life and death. So I don't want to say it's a claim and claim. I don't want to say, but I understand why he says before the divine, in the grand schema, maybe it is. Maybe it is a claim and claim. But it's huge. It's huge at the same time. And so just to conclude here. Yes, please.
Less important than what you just said.
Okay.
Nevertheless, I'd like to make sure I understood.
Yes, sure.
The text says that it's for the sake of the first fruits at the creation.
Yes.
So am I hearing correctly? What he's saying is, Bereshit
Yes.
bara Elohim.
Yes, that's right. That is absolutely right.
Through the
Yeah.
Reshit, for the sake of the
For the
Reshit.
sake of the Reshit, and it's for the sake of giving it and recycling it back.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And that's what the fruit of the land is. So it's not just about mine, right? But you, at the same time, you nurture it and you care for it, and you learn how to somehow give it wings, right? Yes, Arthur, thank you for making that clearer when I'm talking in my shorthand now. And, just one story in a pasuk, and I'm sorry that there wasn't more time for it. Whatever. And we'll keep it going. And I remember David Zazo saying this from the story. It was, about that little gift, the little offering, and anyone who's had like a little kid or babysat or something like that, knows what it is to get just something so tiny from someone, and the child is just giving her heart or his heart or its heart. And move beyond the gender binaries here. And so when Albert Schweitzer announced that he was going to be closing his clinic and moving back to Belgium, right? There was a period of, I think, of a month where people could come and say goodbye to him. And so one man walked, 100 kilometers to just say goodbye and to express gratitude to Schweitzer. And he was carrying a pot with a plant that he had grown. Well, about 20 kilometers from the place, he tripped. And the plant got smashed. And when he got to Schweitzer, he gave Schweitzer some shards of terracotta. And Schweitzer thanked him and said, but may I ask you, why you're offering this gift to me right now? And he explained, the man explained, and he says, but the man added, but please understand, the journey was also part of the gift. And so, and that's right. That's right. When we offer up those, the Reshit, right, that it's also the journey. And so when we, in the same way as those people do the raisin test, and understanding where it's gone. In Jewish terms, it's the challah, right? It's in Tosefta, especially beautiful book, where you meditate on all the processes it took for this bread to be before you in the morning, right? So that we really think about what the journey was to bring the foods there. And if we think about the place, the grass, I want to say that there's a really important book by Richard McGuire called Here. Some of you probably have seen it, right? It's a graphic novel. And basically what it does, it looks at a corner of a room in Perth, what is clearly Perth Amboy, New Jersey. And most of it's in the last 200 years who was there. But it goes back to the Native Americans. It goes back before there were human beings. And it goes 100 years on when it's underwater. And then a reconstitution of some sort of singularity of beings afterwards and stuff like that. It's an astonishing meditation on our earth. And so I pray that we learn ways to do that both in time and in space. Olam means both. Zeshmi le'olam. This is my name to be hidden. This is my name forever. This is my name in the world. So finally, I want to say as a kind of watchword for me, it's Mashiva Ruach Morida Gasha. in the sense that may the wind blow in it, and may it bring rain in its season. May the Spirit move through us, and may we bring down that shefa into our gashrut, into our geshem, into our embodied being, we who are part of Kiga Oga.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, if anyone needs a handout, give me your email and I'll send it to you.
Okay, great.